From straight up dissing Rafael Nadal by leaving him out of the GOAT conversation, to saying that old school players like Sampras and McEnroe wouldn't be able to handle the modern tennis game, Nick Kyrgios grand slammed tennis legends. And it all went down during an appearance on the Impulsive podcast. Kyrgios was asked about who he thinks the GOAT is in tennis. Kyrgios responded by comparing Roger Federer to basketball legend Michael Jordan, but then went on to say that Novak Djokovic is statistically better than both of them. Though it was his comments about tennis legends from past generations that really caught people's attention. When asked if players like Pete Sampras, John McEnroe, and Andre Agassi could be considered among the GOATs, Kyrgios dismissed them with a blunt "no way." He suggested that these players couldn't compete in today's game and were not on the same level as current players like Djokovic and Federer. Kyrgios' comments sparked a lot of debate and controversy, with some agreeing with his assessment, while others felt he was being disrespectful to tennis legends who had paved the way for the current generation of players. Let's be real, nothing gets fans more heated than arguing about the GOAT. It doesn't matter what sport you're talking about, everyone's got an opinion. People pick their favorite player based on who they relate to or who they grew up watching. And when it comes down to it, emotions always win out over stats. But there are always those people who want to see the numbers, right? The hard facts. And you're probably wondering, what did Nick use to back up his claim?
Oh, what a get that was!
Well, when they straight up asked him who the GOAT was, they weren't expecting the bomb he dropped. Nick went with Roger Federer, no hesitation. But to be honest, that's not shocking. The guy's made it pretty clear he's a huge fan of Federer. In a previous interview, Kyrgios spilled the beans about playing with the legend himself. He spilled the tea on how Roger can make the court feel so tiny, and how he can make you feel like an amateur when you're facing him. He argues that this isn't the case with players like Nadal and Djokovic. And guess what else? One of the things that annoys Nick the most about the Swiss player is that he's always the fan favorite. No matter where the match is going down, people are always cheering for him. And Kyrgios agrees that he deserves it. Not only that, but the Australian even compared Federer to the great basketball legend Michael Jordan. That's some high praise right there. But wait, there's more. Kyrgios also mentioned another player who is statistically a little better. Who could it be? I have some clues for you. This guy's a current player. He's still young and has already won 22 Grand Slams. Don't tell me you're thinking it's Rafael Nadal, because you're wrong. It's none other than Novak Djokovic. While Federer's won 20 Grand Slams, Djokovic has already surpassed him with 22 and counting. But hey, let's not forget that Rafa also has 22 Grand Slams, yet Nick didn't even bring him up in the debate. Shocking, right? Maybe he was just checking out another stat. You know, Novak Djokovic has been the #1 tennis player in the world for a whopping 378 weeks straight. That's more than anyone else in the history of the game, including Steffi Graf, who held the record at 377 weeks. Back when she set that record, nobody thought it was possible to break it, but Novak did it anyway. So I guess it's understandable why Kyrgios thinks Djokovic's achievements can't be ignored. But it's kinda weird that he didn't even give Rafa a shout out. This got me thinking, could there be some bad blood between them? You guessed it. The bad blood between Kyrgios and Nadal goes way back to 2014. That's when the young gun, just 19 at the time, pulled off a major upset by taking down the King of Clay himself on the hallowed grounds of Wimbledon. It was like, whoa, where did this guy come from? Of course, Rafa was probably kicking himself for letting a rookie school him like that. But let's be real, Kyrgios didn't do anything wrong by just playing his game and handing Nadal a humiliating defeat. Ever since then, things have been pretty tense between these two on the court. So Rafa and Kyrgios have never really been on good terms, and it looks like Rafa has a bad impression of him. A while back, after another match against Kyrgios, Rafael had some really critical stuff to say. Basically, the Spaniard thinks that Nick has no respect for anyone, not even himself, his opponent, or the crowd. But let's be real, maybe Rafa's just mad that Kyrgios beat him yet again. Either way, it seems like Nadal gets super annoyed with how fast Nick plays and the fact that he loves to use the underhand serve. I mean, sure, it's legal, but come on, man. That's like what little kids do when they're losing. You'd think a pro like Kyrgios would come up with something better, but damn, dissing Rafa from the GOAT convo was a low blow. At least he didn't straight up trash talk him though, right? But the same can't be said for the old-time tennis legends. Nick totally slammed them. I'm talking about the big shots like Pete Sampras and John McEnroe. You know, the guys who are still famous even after retiring years ago. You'd think they'd be contenders for the GOAT title, but not according to Nick. When the host asked him about past tennis legends, they mentioned Sampras, who won 14 Grand Slams, but Nick shut it down completely. So they brought up McEnroe and Agassi, who have 7 and 8 Grand Slams respectively. But when asked if they could be counted among the GOATs of tennis, the Aussie didn't hold back and said, no way. He basically thinks they wouldn't stand a chance in today's tennis climate. I mean, that sounds pretty controversial, right? But Nick didn't stop there. He used a basketball analogy to explain his reasoning, saying that someone like Michael Jordan could still play in the current era and do well, but players like McEnroe wouldn't stand a chance and would get absolutely sniped. Ouch. This guy is definitely not afraid to speak his mind. And I know you're dying to know. What did people think about his comments? Well, it's pretty obvious. It started the whole GOAT debate again, and also showed fans that Rafa and Nick aren't exactly BFFs. But it also proved that Kyrgios isn't afraid to speak his mind. He's not the type to sugarcoat things, even if it means getting some big names in the tennis world all riled up. According to tennis coach Dmitry Tursunov, that's exactly why Kyrgios sells out stadiums. On a podcast, the coach talked about how the tennis world is trying to take all the emotions out of the game. So basically, players these days are scared to speak their minds and let their personality shine, because everything they say now can be taken out of context and used against them. But not Nick Kyrgios. He's always been true to himself, even if it meant getting fined for saying whatever pops into his head. That's pretty rare these days if you ask me, but hey, it's not like this is the first time Kyrgios has been in hot water. Kyrgios has also gotten away with domestic abuse charges from his ex-girlfriend. Yeah, apparently he straight up admitted to it and got off the hook. I mean, the dude has a history of being a troublemaker on the tennis court, but this is on another level. I don't know what to make of it, but it's pretty messed up. But yeah, that's a whole other story. So I have no idea how he still has so many fans, which shouldn't be the case at all. And that's all on Nick Kyrgios Grand Slamming Tennis Legends.